Welcome to the Contra Turtle Show. I'm a 38-year-old Singaporean, 9 to 6 worker, living in a HDB, simple lifestyle with no car. On this channel, I share YouTube's most transparent stock portfolio, documenting my journey towards $4.5 million by age 50. I've got an interesting episode today to share with all of you, which is how exactly I use ChatGPT in investing, at work, and in my personal life to gain unfair advantages here in Singapore. Hopefully you'll be inspired to try out some of the things I'm about to show you. Let's get started with the comic strip images I use in every episode on my YouTube channel. Some of my favorites include Turtle Powell, which is a meme of Jerome Powell, or the frantic turtle choosing between chili crab or black pepper crab dishes in Singapore, or the gurus including famous investors Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Peter Lynch, who I turned into my fellow turtles as well. So how exactly did I achieve this? Firstly, I have a ChatGPT Plus subscription that allows me to generate all the turtle images that I need by prompting. The original ideas still come from me, and I usually think about what kind of scene best represents a point I'm trying to present to the audience, and then I type out a prompt describing my vision of the idea to GPT to generate these pictures that you see. However, sometimes the created images are not what I want and I need to make changes. So in this example, I was trying to amend the posters at the back to read USA stocks and SG stocks. Now there are two ways that I normally edit a picture. One is I simply type to GPT, which is what happened here, and it worked. Or there's even a brush stroke feature that allows me to granularly edit parts of the image, like this. Then I prompt ChatGPT to say that please remove these parts, and then GPT begins working on it, and look. Now after you watch that, and if you are a shareholder of Adobe, to be honest, you'd probably be shitting your pants right now. And you might be wondering, what about the other LLM chatbots? And the truth is, I've tried all of them, including Google's Gemini Flash 2.5, which doesn't quite seem to understand the corrections that I need and doesn't have the brushstroke feature, or Grok 3, developed by Elon Musk's XAI startup, which hallucinates so badly I can't even create consistent pictures with it. I mean, how is this image even related to what I'm asking for? It makes absolutely no sense. One of the reasons I'm able to have consistency in the way my turtles look is through a feature GPT released last year called Memory. So for example, I have a base reference image which I call the Prime Turtle that I've actually saved to GPT's memory. Now I've kept the real image of the Prime Turtle private and hidden here because it's my most important IP asset. But the idea is that GPT knows that whenever I ask it to generate a new image of a turtle doing something, it will always reference this Prime Turtle from memory. It doesn't matter if I start a new chat session, this memory will persist permanently across chat sessions and over time. There is no other LLM chat product that has the same level of sophistication as ChatGPT's memory feature at the moment, allowing me to create a consistent set of turtle characters in all my episodes. And the best part is, the more I chat with GPT, the more it understands my style of communication and what I'm looking for every time. Now, the best analogy I can think of is, like how Instagram is able to show you the most relevant ads because of all the past interactions you've had with it before. So GPT gets better and better the more you interact with it. And also think about how much money I'm saving. In the old days, if I needed to design a logo, I would engage a graphic artist here in Singapore for about maybe 60 Sing dollars per design, and only with a limited number of 4 to 5 iterations, and any more than that would cost like $10 to $20 per edit. But now I just spend $20 per month on a GPT Plus plan and I get unlimited image generations. And I can change it any number of times and the turnaround is in seconds, which is incredible. I want to share with you a real story of how ChatGPT massively improved my cousin's online business. So she runs an e-commerce store selling dresses, and here's an actual WhatsApp conversation I had with her a couple of weeks ago. So she starts off asking me if she should pay, $20 for and get the GPT Plus plan, right? Because previously I taught her how to use the free version of GPT to get fresh ideas for her marketing copy and product descriptions. And so I told her for image generation, yeah, I think it's quite worth it. And then she says, what's that? And so what I did was I went to her shop, the Facebook page. I took a screenshot of one of the fabrics that she uses for her dresses at her store. And I prompted ChatGPT to create an image of a Singaporean teenager wearing a dress made out of that fabric. And of course, she was stunned by the results because at that moment, she realized that there is no longer a need to spend large amounts of money hiring models that she can't afford. And she could iterate her designs very quickly and focus on her best ideas. It was also quite funny because others in the chat were actually quite shocked when I demonstrated this technology. They have never seen this before. It was like an eye-opener for them. So, if you are an aspiring content creator, right, you want to do a YouTube channel, you want to create some content to teach people stuff, or you are a business that's looking to create marketing collateral, let me tell you something, it is a really great time to be alive right now with this technology. People with the best ideas are no longer limited by economic or time limitations. Not many people know this, but ChatGPT actually has an advanced voice mode where you can talk to it. It's almost like, that movie in Iron Man, J.A.R.V.I.S, the one where he has like a assistant in the cloud. So for those of you who actually follow me on Instagram, you might have seen this video of my J.A.R.V.I.S setup using GPT Advanced Voice Mode.
Anything specific on your mind?
Yes, can you talk about the ISR again? Like what are the other product lines beside the Falcon line?
Certainly. Within the ISR segment, J.A.R.V.I.S offers a variety of products, including airborne sensors, surveillance systems, and reconnaissance aircraft. These tools help gather and analyze critical information.
Is the Falcon line the highest, the best-selling item in the ISR sub?
So what I do is that on my desk, I have a muted mic. And on my computer, I have an active session with ChatGPT in advanced voice mode that is always open. So whenever I have simple questions, like in the video, I was actually curious about the best-selling products of J.A.R.V.I.S, which is a defense company I was researching for investing. And what I do is I simply unmute my mic and ask GPT through voice in a hands-free manner. And that was obviously very helpful for me because if you saw in the video, I was actually walking on my treadmill walking pad while I was working. So this hands-free thing is really convenient for me to multitask many things at the same time. So it's really like J.A.R.V.I.S and Iron Man. And the beauty of this is that if you notice in the video, I interrupted GPT. Like, in a normal conversation, sometimes you get a bit impatient. You don't want to waste time listening to something that you disagree with. You sort of just cut the person off. So you can do that with GPT. And obviously it doesn't care, it has no feelings. So it's almost like you have an assistant, J.A.R.V.I.S, next to you, right? That's on standby, you're able to ask simple questions that saves you so much time compared to you having to go and Google every single one of your questions, right? So for those of you who've actually followed technology news, you would have read about OpenAI acquiring Johnny Ive's startup called IO. And what they are working on will be the next computing platform suitable for AI. Now, what I suspect is that the form factor of this product will likely be glasses, not too far from Meta's Ray-Ban AI glasses. I don't believe that the product would be something like Humane's AI pin, because glasses, they see what you see, they hear what you hear, and so they are constantly parsing the world around you and can also render images on your lens to show you relevant information. And when the AI wants to talk to you, like how J.A.R.V.I.S in GPT, I set it up to talk to me in the video, it can do so through bone conduction along the side of the glasses frames, so that only you hear what the AI is telling you. It won't be like a loudspeaker, so you have privacy and you won't need to wear extra earbuds, which would be a hassle. So my theory is that some of the advanced voice mode technology that I've just shown you will be refined further into this new product that IO will be building at OpenAI. So let's see in a few years how accurate my prediction will be. But anyway, I digress. The next unfair advantage I want to share with all of you is using deep research in ChatGPT to filter investment ideas. Now here, you can see that I've toggled deep research mode, and I typically like to use a starting prompt along the lines of, GPT, play the role of an experienced long-term stock investor with the combined wisdom of investors like Buffett, Munger, Peter Lynch, etc. So we call this a persona prompt. So it's a technique that raises the quality of ChatGPT's answers. It's a bit like, that cartoon Captain Planet that we watched as kids, where he combines the strengths of a few powerful people. You can think of this persona prompt as something like that, but you have to be a bit careful not to overdo it and be a bit more concise, otherwise it may clutter the chat model. So I also try to be explicit about what sources I want it to research, such as Bloomberg, past earnings calls, etc. And then I pass it all the criteria that I typically look for in a business, and I ask GPT to grade the business for each of my criteria. I then pass in the stock ticker symbol, which is ISRG, Intuitive Surgical in this case, that I want it to research. So once I hit enter, GPT usually asks me some follow-up questions so that it knows more clearly what kind of response I'm looking for. And then it begins to search the web for answers and combines it with past knowledge that it's already been trained on. Now this usually takes somewhere around 5 to 15 minutes, and it really digs through the web very thoroughly. When it's done, it will produce a comprehensive report with citations like those I've highlighted, which means you can actually click into the source websites where GPT derived its answers from. Now this is super important and an underrated aspect of deep research, because we know that sometimes LLM models like GPT, Gemini and all the other models out there, they may hallucinate or return incorrect or inaccurate information from time to time. So with citations, this mitigates some of this hallucination risk, because you can actually fact check the sources every time you generate a report like that. Another example I want to share is from one of my investor friends who used ChatGPT deep research to understand what happened to FICO, this stock, to see if this company is a value trap or if it's worth investing at this point. So the context is that recently some government agencies spoke about a new policy that would potentially reduce FICO's revenues. And this sent FICO stock falling nearly 30%. So my friend created a prompt that you can see here on the left. This is an actual screenshot of my WhatsApp conversation with him. I was actually asking him how he structured his GPT deep research prompt because I was really interested, because ultimately it generated a report like this one here. And the beauty of this report feature from deep research is that you can even download it as a PDF or share the link of your deep research report with your friends, like what my friend has done with me, so that we can discuss over it. And this is another conversation I had with the same friend where I was super curious about his wife, who's also a power user with deep research. And apparently she does a lot of due diligence on startups. She's probably like one of those VC investors or something like that. I never asked. But she uses it to do due diligence and research on using this feature. And it saves her a ton of time. So in summary, I usually use deep research for more qualitative judgments. And then I marry this with something like maybe FinChat.io to study the quantitative side of the company, like the revenue growth numbers, the margins, etc., to form a complete picture of the business and determine whether it's worth investing in the first place. So if you think about it, a deep search a report takes maybe 5 to 15 minutes to generate. Whereas if you compare it to the old days, if you remember, we used to take like a few days or even like a week to slowly Google and read through the reports, past earnings, and we spend a lot of time doing all this research. So I think this feature just saves so much valuable time. I'm actually still on the $20 plus plan, and I'm half thinking of getting the $200 Pro plan because I feel like the long-term ROI I can make through the time saved and the insights gained will far outweigh the monthly subscription cost. Because the Pro plan gives unlimited research credits, whereas on the Plus plan that I'm on, I can only use this feature like a few times per day. So yeah, there's some limitation there, and I might upgrade. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes when I'm reading financial reports, right, from GPT or from other non-GPT sources, or maybe I'm just reading some articles online, I don't quite understand some context or some technical terms that are being used. In the old days, I would have to Google each of the financial and mortgage terms that I don't understand and slowly digest what each paragraph is saying, and that took a really long time. But now what I do is I quickly screenshot parts of what I'm reading, and then I paste it into ChatGPT as a picture, and then I prompt it to summarize and teach me the key points of the article and the picture in layman terms. Now the magic is that a lot of people don't know that GPT has what we call OCR, which is short for optical character recognition, that's built into the model. So it can quickly read the text in the image without you having to copy paste actual text into GPT. And in seconds, it will just summarize everything and then you can actually begin to have conversations with GPT about the article. And if you think about it, there's never been a point in history before ChatGPT where you could talk to an article you are reading and have the same article talk back to you and teach you, speeding up, and have the article talk back to you and teach you at the same time, speeding up the time taken to understand new concepts. Now, the analogy I like to use is that ChatGPT is kind of like, the Timestone in the Marvel movie Doctor Strange. Sort of like a cheat code device you can use to accelerate the time needed to digest the contents of a book and save you tons of time that you can really redeploy to do other valuable stuff. So I recently met Mr. Lu, who is the most well-known frugal millionaire in Singapore, credited for transforming personal finance amongst many of us Singaporeans with his 1M65 movement. And so for quite a while, right, many naysayers disapprove of his method of crash buying the S&P 500. And I've always had a gut feeling that buying into pessimism in a contrarian fashion like what he does have its merits. So I turned to ChatGPT's O3 advanced reasoning model to mathematize his crash buying theory and prove that there is a logical foundation behind it. Now, if you've ever wondered when you should use the O3 or O series models versus maybe the standard GPT-4o model, the general rule of thumb is that if you're working on problem solving like math questions, logic, coding, things that require a specific kind of mathematical outcome, then the O series models like O3 would be the best. Because what happens is that GPT-O3 does what we call test time compute to reason. And in very simple terms, just imagine that the model is taking time to think about the problem step by step. But for every other kind of general, broader questions that doesn't involve problem solving or math, GPT-4o will be more suitable. Now, I don't want to get into the weeds of this crash buying math problem I was trying to solve with O3. If you are interested, you can pause the video here and you can just read through what I was attempting to solve in beating the 8% market benchmark with crash buying. But what I want you to notice is that GPT-O3 will lay out step by step how it solves the problem before providing an answer at the end. And it took only 1 minute to do so in this example. Whereas if you compare it to a regular human like you and me, who maybe we're not that great at certain math problems, we would have probably taken at least half an hour or more. So there's really so much time that's being saved by having like a math professor next to you in the form of GPT, ready to explain all the answers to to the questions that you have step by step. Now, one caveat I want to point out is that you should always check the steps and the output, because on the rare occasion, there may be some incorrect results. But so far, my experience with O3 has been fantastic. And if you're thinking for regular Singaporeans, why would I even care about this feature? It's not like I need to do PhD level problem solving every day. So I have some good news for you. If you are a kiasu Singaporean parent with kids in primary school, you know, like how in recent years people have been complaining how difficult the PSLE math questions for 12-year-old Singaporean kids has been. I mean, look at this question here from last year's PSLE exam. If my kid comes to me in the future asking me for help, how in the world am I supposed to help him if I can't even understand this question myself? It will probably take me a few hours to even solve it. But now, with GPT-03, I can just paste the question in and get step-by-step answers and teach my kid. Now, of course, you want to be mindful that you don't simply do this in front of your kid, because otherwise he might end up abusing ChatGPT and not developing his problem-solving skills during his young schooling years, right? It's a better idea to quickly read through the O3 answers, digest the logic, and check that there are no mistakes before returning to your kid to teach him what you just learned. But otherwise, using O3 can be such a huge time saver for busy parents like you and me, so we don't leave our kids hanging. They learn, they solve their problem, and then we can get back to our work very quickly. Now, of course, this same example of using O3 to solve primary school math problems can also be extended to solving customer problems at work. So for those of you who follow me for a while, you know that I work in technology and I constantly need to solve problems and teach customers or partners complicated technical questions in simple ways. So my usual workflow these days is that I ask ChatGPT a question, some technical question, and what I do is that I look away from the screen for a number of minutes and I think about the solution myself first. Then I come back to ChatGPT and reconcile what I've thought of myself with any new insights that GPT can give me. Now, this way, I still keep my critical thinking polished, but I save time and get new perspectives from ChatGPT in solving a customer problem. In a way, you can think of it as subconning some of your work to a secret robot assistant who you can exchange ideas with, and you can check your work for any mistakes to improve your work efficiency. Now, one useful tip I want to share and teach you guys is something known as a system prompt. And here is an example of something I might set for my work, right, as an engineer. So in ChatGPT, there is a section where you can customize this and tell it what are some of the default behaviors you want it to exhibit. So remember earlier on when I talked about the persona prompt and Captain Planet, this is where you can put some of those default settings and the character of the GPT in. It could be what role you want it to play, the style you prefer it to answer you, the format, the content it uses, etc. And what ChatGPT does is that it saves this as a default, and every time you start a new chat session, it pre-pens these default settings to your new chat so that ChatGPT already knows how it should answer you in a format that you prefer. And this will save you a lot of time and allows ChatGPT to help you work faster and get closer to the outcome you desire every time you ask it a question. So you don't have to keep repeating this default at the start of every new chat session that you start. So far what I've shared with you today is really just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more I haven't even touched on, such as OpenAI's increasing focus on autonomous agents that can actually go out into the web and potentially make restaurant reservations for you in the future. I think they call it Operator. It's still not available in Singapore, but I believe it's in preview mode in the US. Or, like even life hacks I use for analyzing food pictures and then coming up with a diet plan. There's so many possibilities. But I hope that after this episode, where I share with you transparently exactly how I use it to empower my work, my investing, my personal life, you at least go and try the free version. And like my cousin earlier on, you will slowly discover how AI can actually have tangible impacts on your personal life, your investing, and at work. I hope you enjoyed this episode, everyone. Thank you for watching.